Hello and welcome to Gameday Lures. I'm your host, Austin Meeks, and I am going to be making some custom soft plastics. Today, up on the menu we have is tip soft plastics. So I'm going to be going through how to make this in our 3.5 inch mystery crawl. So up first we have is our chartreuse. I'm going to be cutting up some plugs that I have of chartreuse. Whenever I'm doing this, it's important to make sure that you're cutting plugs into smaller pieces. That is very important whenever you're heating these up because it's going to heat more thoroughly and it will not have as many chunks. You do not want chunks in your plastisol because all that's going to do is mess up your injection whenever you're going to pour. So now that we've got this chartreuse ready, we're going to put it in the microwave for 3 minutes. So coming out of the microwave for 3 minutes, as you can see, this is a little thick, and this is what I mean by chunks. So these little, here's a good one right there. That is no good. You're going to want to make sure that all of those are completely melted. What I like to do is go around my cup too and make sure that all of my little pieces around the edge, are mixed into my cup itself. It just allows you to have a little bit more plastisol to work with. So once I have done that, I'm going to put this back in the microwave for about 45 seconds. That'll finish up this, and then we'll be ready to inject. Now, as you can see, this is completely melted down into liquefied, and we're ready to inject. One of the most important things to know whenever you're injecting is PTE. This stuff is really hot. It gets to be over 350 degrees, so make sure that you're wearing protection. Without further ado, we're going to suck this up into our injector and inject into our mold. Here we go into the mold itself. After I've injected this, I want to make sure to hold pressure on my injector itself. What that's going to do is allow for no air bubbles to get in the baits themselves. You always want to backfill your mold. They make sprue extenders that makes this a little bit easier, but it only takes 5 to 10 seconds just to make sure, that the mold is topped off here. That should be good about right there. So now what I'm going to do is let that sit for about 2 minutes, and that's going to allow for the plastisol to set up inside the mold itself, and then we'll see how they turned out. Okay, so now that it's been the 2 minutes, we are going to take these out of the mold itself. So I pull them off of the sprue itself, and I set these off to the side. And up next is going to be cutting these. So I am going to let these cool for just a minute. That way I can cut off the tails themselves. Okay, now that these have cured a little bit, what I'm going to do is go through here with a pair of scissors. I have done this a lot of different ways, but this is the best way that I have found. I go in behind right here, and I cut, and then I follow the rib itself through the bait. And I'll pull it off, and as you can see, that's what you get. Now, to do all the rest of these, but it's really not that bad. It only takes me about 30 seconds or so to do a bait. So I'm going to go ahead and finish all of these. So now that we have our tips, you get to the most tedious part of the whole process, and that's putting the tips into the mold themselves. It can be challenging at times, but what I usually like to do is start at the end of the claw and gently work it down in there. See if I can get you a little bit better view of it on this one. It's not hard. It's just time consuming, of making sure that they are in the mold themselves completely. All right, now fast forward, and here you go. We have them all in here. The next step is going to be putting the top piece of the mold in. It can be tricky. You kind of want to make sure that it's level on both sides, and boom. Make sure that there's no gap. There is a little bit one, you know, but once it's inside the mold itself, it'll squish it. Now that we have the chartreuse tips done, we have to do the main body color. So we have some raw plastisol. Let's go ahead and get that melted down. Now we're going to add our colorant to the plastisol itself. I'm going to do about, a typical ratio is 15 to 20 drops per cup. This is 2 cups of plastisol. It is a changeable color, so I'm going to add a few more to it just because I want that effect to be a little bit more distinguished. That's about 50. All right, let's stir this bad boy up. Now we're going to add some blue flake to it. I'm going to do 2 tads. Actually, I'm going to do 3. Mix that in. Oh yeah. All right, now we are ready for injection. Same thing as before. Make sure you're wearing your PTE. But now that she's ready, we're going to suck her on up. Make sure there's no air in my injector itself. And ready to inject. One thing to always remember when you are injecting is nice and slow, because that's going to allow for the air to escape and help you prevent more air bubbles. As always, make sure to top off your mold. The biggest reason of doing this too is so that you don't get dents in the noses of your bait itself, because as the plastisol cools, it shrinks, so it's going to naturally want to suck down air. I think that's good there. We'll let those set up. Now the moment you've been waiting for, the reveal of the final color. Look at these. So as you can see, the chartreuse tips bond really well. You can really see the brown, and then when you hold it up to the light, it's blue. Brown, blue. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe my channel, as I would greatly appreciate supporting me and my family.